What's up, guys? So for those of you that didn't join me for the last videos, I am going to do a book review on Hesiod's The Works and Days. So in the age of social media, I've seen a lot of quotes from Hesiod, particularly The Works and Days. So it inspired me to go ahead and read it. I had a lot of time on my hands and I wanted to see what this was all about. So for those of you that don't know, Hesiod is a poet who even brags in the book that the gods have blessed him, that his words and poetry will last forever. And apparently that is somewhat true, because here we are many centuries later still talking about his words. So the Works and Days in particular, like I said, I've seen a lot on social media, and that's what piqued my interest to read it. They would always say, you'll see it, it'll say on the 5th day, it's good for this to happen. On the 23rd day, this is a good time for this, or not a good time. And overall, as you read the Works and Days, you see it is Hesiod in a letter to his brother Persis. And all in all, it is a farmer's almanac. There's a lot in here that would be interest to someone interested in the Greek gods or Hellenic polytheism, such as he brings up the myth of Pandora and who to pray to for good crop. And so a lot about Demeter in here. Not so much the myth, but prayers to Demeter for good crops and the such. Also, he talks about the 5 ages of man. The 5 ages of man is something that a lot of people talk about, talking about when people were originally created and how there were different times and periods of human history. And again, as I've said, reference to as the 5 ages of man. And we are currently in the Iron Age, or at least that's where Hesiod stops at, and that's where we were at in his time, and he doesn't expand on anything past that. So a lot of people say we are in the Age of Iron. I want to say, I think that's what it was, but it was the age where, biblically they say how we're in the end times of how people, well, not the end times, but people are mean to each other and rude and ruthless and so forth. But more than anything, though, again, Hesiod's The Works and Days is a farmer's almanac to, again, Hesiod's brother Persis, who seems to not know how to do anything. So much so that Hesiod, he calls Persis, his brother, an idiot, flat out right, and it is amusing. But you get the idea after reading this that Persis doesn't know how to lace up his sandals, basically. And so his brother has to teach him how to do everything. And Persis apparently has gotten into a lot of trouble trying to do things on his own, where he has judges and people after him that want things owed that Persis owes to them. So Hesiod tries to help his brother out, like, hey, this is when a good time is to plant crops. This is a good way to treat your neighbors. And kind of like Robert Frost said, that good fences make good neighbors. Hesiod says to make friends with your neighbor. That way, when your family is not around, you'll have your neighbor to help you out. Things like that, life advice. But again, he also talks about the gods and life lessons that we can still agree with to today. And a lot of things have aged poorly, such as Hesiod telling his brother that he should marry when he's 30, which is a good age, but to marry a good wife, to train so you don't have to try so hard to have a good wife, you can train her well, kind of thing. But overall, it is an interesting read of The Works and Days. I think people looking for deep insight into Hellenic polytheism or the gods. You'll find it at the beginning, third. So I would say I'd break it up into thirds. Like 1/3 of it is good life advice, and then a little bit of the classic mythology, such as the Pandora and the 5 Ages of Man, and talks on the gods. Then you have the middle section that's all about how to farm, clothes to wear when it gets cold, what you would probably consider to be the boring stuff, that would really be no interest to someone that's trying to seek spiritual truth, trying to read and find out something deep on the gods. You're not going to find it in the middle section, because it literally is a farmer's almanac, a good time to grow crops, a good time to harvest, a good time when the snails come. That's around the time it's time to start gathering up your crop. I mean, it's literally farming advice. And then he goes back into what I call the meme section of the book, where it says, on the 20th day, it is woe unto them who has a male child born, and stuff like that you'll see a lot on Facebook, that a lot of Facebook groups will post. That caught my eye. I was like, what is this? Where's it coming from? And you'll get that in the last third of the book. But yeah, I mean, it's worth reading. It's short enough. It takes about an hour and a half to read it, at least aloud, when I was reading it for my videos. So it's a pretty short read, and it's interesting, and comical in a lot of ways too. But I don't know how much the average Joe would be interested in actually reading the Works and Days when he starts talking about the farmer stuff and the seafaring ways and such. Anyway, that is Hesiod's The Works and Days, and I will eventually, probably soon, go and read the Theogony and the Shield of Heracles as well, and give my thoughts and reviews on that as well. There you go, the works of Hesiod right here in The Works and Days, and I will talk to you later, guys.